taking action is like the stuff that's, that's creating the thoughts, and the conversations that we're having on a regular basis with ourselves, right? When we're, I don't know, sitting down at the dinner table with family and everything, and we're trying to have this family conversation. At the end, in the background, there's stuff that's going to be going on. You're thinking about, taking that next step. You're thinking about what, I don't know, I failed at this, I failed at that, or I have this thing that's pressuring me, and it's creating chaos in my head and all that stuff. So we start creating all these ideas, and behind those ideas, we start creating beliefs about ourselves as to what we can do, what we cannot do, our capabilities as human beings. And I'm telling you, man, if we let we let those just run, out of control, right? They really, really can come in and take over everything that we do, right? Everything that we do, everything that we think that we can do. Next thing you know, you're questioning yourself, and losing confidence on stuff that normally you would have had dialed in. So it's, and I say that because I'm thinking of a couple of different like particular scenarios where somebody's really good at something, then something goes south. They failed at a simple example would be, I don't know, you're playing basketball, right? And then you miss, I don't know, 2-3 shots in a row. And then like that mindset just gets into you, and it just starts fucking with your head.
Yeah.
And then, normally like I'll suck for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and it's very simple. Like the construct is,
yeah,
you get excited about an idea,
right,
an opportunity, something you're going to go do. And then the thought creeps in of like, yeah, but what if I fail? What if it doesn't work out? What if I'm insufficient? What if I'm not skilled enough? Yada, yada, yada. And the key is listening to those thoughts.
Yeah.
Because once you listen, that means it's hooked your attention, and now you're feeding it, and now it's going to become like all consuming, and it'll stop you from moving forward.
Yeah.
Or if you do move forward, it's not going to be like your full capability.
Right.
So what do you think you're going to produce? Do you know what I mean? So it's super important.
It is. So let's break that down, right? Like we start creating biases, meaning that we have certain things that we kind of take for granted. Like this is how life is. This is how my life is going to be because it's just how it is, right? So you create a bias. Biases can be good. Biases can be bad. They're hardly ever neutral, right? But it's at the end of the day, it's a belief. Let's focus on the fear that has biases attached to it.
Sure.
So
yeah. Well, first of all, like it's an understanding of where did it come from, right?
Yeah.
Like these things, you didn't just trip on it one day and all of a sudden it's yours and you adopt it. You know what I mean? Like it started from a long time ago when we were little kids,
right?
Usually before the age of 7, right? And it was just modeling and watching who we were around the most, who was our primary caretaker, and listening to what they said about opportunities and situations. Like, for example, when I was young, my mom and stepdad, they were entrepreneurs. They were small business owners. And so it was basically feast or famine. You know what I mean? Like things were either really great or no money at all. And it was like this roller coaster. And so at some point I internalized that's what it meant to be in business for yourself. So yet I couldn't stomach being an employee. So I had to go off and be an entrepreneur because I don't like being told what to do, even by myself sometimes. So,
isn't it crazy? We don't do entrepreneurship right. We don't have one person that tells us what to do. We have hundreds, through clients. So you mentioned something really important, right? Before the age of 7. One thing that I want to put out there and just, have it be super, super clear is that the ideas that we have now as adults, they didn't start happening yesterday. A lot of times they're suppressed memories from when we were little. We start adopting fears and attitudes and behaviors and beliefs as we're growing up, even from the age of 1, 2, 3. Yeah. And it's super important. Early childhood, as far as developing, right? And then creating all those neurological connections on stuff that we see. That's why traumas as kids, they're a lot more powerful because those memories, those connections, those points of reference are being created at that point, right?
Well, positive or negative, like the bigger the emotional charge on the event, there you go. And you think about it, like it's because before the age of 7, like we don't have the higher mental faculties, memory, reason, logic, those types of things. Even the fullest imagination possible, and kids have big imaginations. And so by the age of 7, like you're right, like those neurological hardware are set in place.
Yeah.
And so what are they about and why? And that also sets up like our belief systems about ourselves, the self-image, how we view ourselves, what we're capable of, what we're not capable of, what do we deserve, what are we worthy of? And so all those things now are driving behaviors unconsciously because we've practiced them for so damn long.
That now, let's throw some common sense into that, right? If you see it from that context, I call them borrowed behaviors, borrowed beliefs. But a lot of these fears, right? Fears of failure, for example, a lot of these are not even ours.
Yeah.
You know, we took them because we learned, for example, feast or famine in your case, right? As you were growing up, you learned that, you know, okay, this is entrepreneurship. This is the way, you know, the way it goes.
You got to work
And
hard.
I know for a fact, because I know you as one of my best friends, it's like you've worked on that intentionally to break apart from that belief.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So it's important to understand too that a lot of these things, right? The fear of failure, the fear of not being enough, the fear of you know, you name it, right? Of success even, right? Or these biases, these stigmas out there, they're not even ours.
Yeah.
We weren't old enough to come up with our own neurological or
that are accurate.
Yeah, exactly. We're our own beliefs. You know, at that point, we're just adopting, you know, stuff that wasn't around us. So if you were in a good environment at that point, I mean, you had a leg up, right? But if you grew up in the average household, or you know, went and you were hanging out and being a kid, like understanding life is not a top priority at that point. You just want to play with Legos and you know, toys.
100%. So one of my favorite quotes though is Alan Toffer. He said, "The illiterate of the 21st century will not be those that cannot read or write. It'll be the people that are not equipped to learn something new, unlearn what they think they know, and relearn something." Like you gotta
I love that.
evolve and adapt, right? It's like an operating system on your phone. How many times you get a little ding that there's an iOS update? You know what I mean? Like it's an operating system. And so step one is you got to inspect what those are. Like, what are my operating systems? What do I truly believe? And what am I afraid of and why? Like, I might be full of shit. I might be wrong.
Yeah.
And so how much time do people spend like take an inventory? What am I scared of and why? Where did that come from? And is there a better way to look at this? And is there a better way to move forward?
Yeah. And the answer is yes, right?
Obviously.
Short answer to that is yes. So it's interesting how many people like you know, one thing that I see over and over again, especially through coaching is people will not believe in themselves through theory. You know, you can't sit there and then say, I'm going to believe in myself. I'm going to believe in myself. I'm believing myself.
Yeah. Not like an affirmation.
And yeah, exactly. And then not take action, nothing like that. And then magically just believe in yourself. It doesn't happen. It happens when you start accumulating wins, when you start accumulating evidence, right? For whatever path you want to walk towards, you start accumulating evidence, you know, for those little wins. For example, if you had a fear of failure and I keep going back to the same thing because of the context of the podcast, right? If you wanted to launch your business or you wanted to be an entrepreneur and you took that first step, maybe you failed 2 or 3 times, but you won once. You take that one win and then you put it in your pocket, right? You keep going back to it. That's evidence. And when you have enough evidence stacked, right, and you pay attention, you focus on the right evidence, you know, inevitably you're going to start seeing, like, it's kind of like, you know, walking from here, you know, from your workplace to your house, right? You take one step, inevitably, even if it's, you know, 20 miles, you know, far, you're going to get closer to that thing, and inevitably you're going to get there, right?
Yeah.
Because you're walking in that direction. Now it's the same thing when we're building up our own belief, when we're trying to break away from those biases, and those fears that, if you sit with them, you write them out, and you conceptualize, the thing that you're afraid of. The majority of the time, 90% of the time, they're going to be rational fears.
Yeah, because if you think about it, it's like, okay, I have this thought about if I do this, then I'm going to fail, and here's why.
Right.
It's like, okay, so what are you basing that off of? Do you have an experience with that?
Yeah.
Yes, I've done it before and I failed. Great. Okay, so what'd you learn? There's got to be something in there that you could take responsibility for, that given another opportunity, if you had a chance to do it all over again, how would you do it differently? Great. Now, why don't you take that information and go do it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like
you didn't fail. You just learned one way not to do it.
Exactly.
Right?
Like I hear that word failure a lot, and it kind of it's like nails on a chalkboard. Just because some people I think they use it as a loose term that is throw out there. I went into action, I didn't get what I wanted, and I failed. It's like, did you? Because like the best definition of success I've ever heard was Earl Nightingale.
Yeah.
Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal.
With a worthy
So
ideal.
if you have that point B, that goal, and you're moving towards it, and you've made 0.0001% progress today, by definition, you're successful.
Yeah.
So if you're in motion, does that mean you're going to make mistakes? Obviously, clearly,
Yeah.
right? But isn't that how we learn? Like you made mistakes when you learned how to walk, ride a bike, play a sport, and now look, you're proficient. Most people, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you're going to get better if you don't quit. So failure, in my opinion, is quitting or never getting started, because that's a quit right there.
I feel like also another thing that it does is when we're having all these irrational fears go through our head, we're creating noise. We're really creating noise around our mental capacity, right? And we're not leaving space there for creative thinking, for solution, for problem solving. Man, I know so many people that have a problem for every solution that's thrown at them. It's like, man, it that is nothing more than fear speaking. Why? Yeah. Fear, because you want to justify, you want to rationalize why not taking action is the best course of action. And it's crazy. It's crazy because it's the same type of person that wants to move forward, that wants to create something with their life, that wants to, live this fulfilled life. Yet the irrational, stuff that's going on in their minds as to, I'm going to fail. I'm not worthy. I'm not going to be able to push forward. This is not for me. It might be, for somebody else who's smarter, who's brighter, who's got money, who's got connections, who's got, tapped in. Like all that is bullshit.
It is 100%.
All of that is bullshit. I mean, I'm telling you, the one thing you're going to get really good as an entrepreneur is figuring shit out.
Yeah, well, some of the most successful people, in my opinion, are not the ones that were handed something.
Yeah.
It was the ones that were resourceful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, here's the obstacle. Well, that must be an illusion because there's got to be a solution.
Right.
So how do I get what I want? You know what I mean? Like who, not how. Yeah. All these different things. But, I think those fear programs, those conversations go on because of a lot of things. The, perfectionism, all kinds of different neuroses, so to speak. And, what I think would serve people really well is to just realize when you hear that thought come up and it's limiting and it holds you back, you just got to remember one thing. That's not you. It's a thought.
Yeah.
It comes from your mind, right? And you're not your mind. Your mind is something you have. You're the one witnessing the mind. So if you can witness those thoughts and just say, I hear you and I'm focused on my intention. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but just like driving somewhere like from here, Phoenix to Vegas in the middle of the night, how do you get there? The headlights shine about 200 feet and that's all you can see. And you don't need to see the next 200 feet until you get there. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's going to unfold. Martin Luther King, you don't need to see the whole staircase. You just need to take one step at a time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And understand too, like I said before, right? Like the most of the fears are learned behaviors from something that happened to you. It's in your historical DNA. It's ingrained somewhere in your subconscious, right? And it'll come back and bite you in the ass whenever you get triggered. And triggers can come in different, shapes, situations, and forms, right? But at the end of the day, like think about where that fear is coming from. Think about where that hesitation, where that procrastination is coming from, and own it. Like really, really own it. It almost trust me, like and drop a message or send me a DM or whatever if you come across this. But it'll crack you up once you realize where some fears are coming from. If you sit there like, why am I afraid? Like one of the things I get super freaked out about is if I'm driving and then a cop just starts driving behind me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Bro, I just freak
like hot.
Like I feel like I start sweating. It's like, well, dude, I don't have
just me.
I don't have drugs in the car.
No,
like,
but I do speed really fast. So
well, yeah, but if they don't pull you over within a few seconds, I mean, you're pretty much, you can say that you're gonna be okay.
Well, and it's only illegal if you get caught.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Don't say we're live.
Sorry.
Yeah. Anyways, I got his address if any cops out there need it. But you know what I mean? Like that's a fear for me. And I like, why do I feel like that? Why do I get in that space?
Have you been pulled over?
Yeah. Okay. So I got pulled over. I was a junior in high school, and I got pulled over coming out of the high school parking lot.
That was the last time he got pulled over because he drives really slow.
And I unless I'm off-roading. And then but I was hauling ass like down the hill, so Cove High School in Yuma, and I was hauling ass down the hill, and then this cop gets behind me and he follows me, dude. He didn't stop me. The guy made me miserable for about 2.5 miles. So he just got behind me, and the entire time I was like, I'm screwed. I'm screwed. I'm screwed. And this happened, dude, like a long time ago.
Yeah.
All right. So
That's why your dad's so slow.
fast forward, like now when that happens, and it's the first thing that that came up right now as far as an example, because it happened to me over the weekend. I was on the freeway and this cop just got behind me. He was like, "Oh man," and I started thinking about it. Like, yeah, like why do I feel that way? Like I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not even speeding. Like everything's good.
Yeah.
And then I thought about it. It's like, okay, cool. That's where that fear is coming from. At least that emotion.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's where that energy is coming.
Well, how
from.
you think sets up how you feel, and how you feel determines how you think.
Yeah.
And so I think for the biggest thing that's helped me make a transformation with fear, because I don't listen to the fear. I just simply don't. It doesn't dictate my behavior. It doesn't dictate my results. Now, I'm not saying it's not a factor and doesn't come up, right? But fundamentally, what I've noticed is, as I went through a tremendous amount of personal development, our masterminds, and just moving forward into action as an entrepreneur, like you gain so much experience and so many lessons. And so now when that fear comes up, like I'm super grateful. When I feel nervous or scared that I'm about to do something, I'm in a state of gratitude, 100%, because it wouldn't be showing up if I wasn't about to go do something cool, something big, something I've never done before. That's exciting. You know what I mean? Like if you're always doing what you've always done, that means you're operating from memories of the past, but you're expecting a different future. Now that's weird, right? So in order to have a new future, bigger, better results, you got to get into the unknown. And the only way to do that, because fear wants to stop you and keep you safe, is you just got to understand, like the fear comes up. There it is. I'm onto something. And why am I listening to my mind? What makes me think it's even true? And if I don't take action, what's that going to cost me? And if nothing else, not even financially, but my self-respect, I'm going to have regret.
But I mean, I don't know. Think fast forward 10 years. Like, think about it, right? Where you're sitting right now, and this is for anybody watching or listening, like ask yourself the question, in 10 years, do I want to be in the same spot, in the same place, with the same results, with the same type of life fulfillment, right? I'm telling you, most people that I know, they want to improve on a day-to-day basis. They want to do better. They have dreams. They have,
at least cognitively.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So I mean, that scares the shit out of me. Like to think that I'm going to be the
same spot in 10 years
in the
from
same
now?
spot 10 years from now is like, no, I mean, not that I'm complaining. I'm in a pretty good spot right now, but it's
Groundhog
I feel
Day.
like the worst nightmare for an entrepreneur is unrealized potential. Right? Because I mean, we see potential everywhere. We see opportunity. We see, stuff like that right now. Now having something as strong as fear, you stop you in your tracks and you're not doing anything about it. I mean, that's a very sad story if you ask me.
Yeah. Because potential, like when someone says, man, you got potential, like that's not a compliment. What it's saying is that you have abilities, capabilities, and things inside of you that you may not even be aware of, and you're not doing anything with it. You're just keeping it stored. Like that's like having a bunch of equity in your home and doing nothing with it. Like it's stupid.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like you have resources, you're resourceful, and you don't care because you would rather listen to the fear story and feel that state. It's like, fear is an acronym: false evidence appearing real. Right. Very simple. Like, and so when you understand that my mind has evidence, so at least it conjured up just to keep me safe so that I don't die. But I'm not going to die. I'm asking for what I want in this moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, you got to understand, like, you got to face it and overcome it. And the more you do that, see, I got kind of cocky and I thought like I got rid of it one day. And I was like, check me out.
You got rid of your fear?
Yeah. That was gone because I hadn't heard it in so long. And I was excited and like results were just naturally unfolding for me organically.
Can't wait to hear this one.
Yeah. Well, I had a coach because you always have to have a coach, I think. The coach has to be coached. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I was getting ready to do my first seminar, 2-day workshop that I created from scratch. And thought came in, what if nobody buys in tickets?
Yeah.
And then for whatever reason, it hooked my attention and I started thinking that through. And then this was like 2 weeks before the event.
Yeah.
So my coach was like, how you doing?
I think I remember.
Yeah.
I was talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm not good, man. So point is, like, when you think you've arrived, don't worry. You're going to get slapped really hard with some humble pie.
Yeah.
Just to remind you that there is no destination. Like, you never arrive. It's just another layer of the onion.
Yeah.
And so now it's like I've reframed my relationship to fear. So instead of looking at it as like all consuming and stopping me cold, it's like, thanks, old friend. Thanks for popping up, because I must be on the right track. Because if you're trying to keep me safe, it's because I'm about to experience something really cool, unique, new, and have a lot of fun. So without that voice coming up and attempting to stop me, I must just be doing the same old thing.
Yeah. I like to think about, you know, the progress in that form as almost like an infinite mountain, right?
Mhm.
You just pick your height, like how high do you want to go on this mountain. You know, what am I willing to do? What am I willing to put in as far as effort, time, and you know, call it risk if you want. But it's breaking through those paradigms of fear, right? To pick my spot in the mountain. Okay, like every you know, so much higher you get on that mountain, you're gonna have a better view,
Oh,
or
yeah.
just a distant view. Like you're gonna see a different thing you weren't seeing before, right? It's just, you know, it's and it keeps going and going and going. So it's like the peak of the mountain. I feel like it's a noble legend.
Not only that, but like I'm of the opinion, anyways,
Yeah,
that you know, in real estate, I'd rather have a really shitty house, but on top
Yeah.
of the hill.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Because that's what you're getting is the view,
yeah,
and you can't change that.
yeah,
Now, if the mountain continues up, there's always a better view.
yeah.
Yeah, and
And that's the thing; it always does,
Yeah.
right? We just we pick where we want to stop in that mountain. I
there's
feel like
fewer
that's-
people up there, and for some people that are extroverts, they'd be like, "Oh, that sounds terrible." No, it's pretty good, because the people that are around you up there
Yeah.
are more of your vibration.
Yeah.
It's more authentic. And if you think about it, like I think we talked about this in one episode, the law of constructive interference. When
Yeah.
two frequencies, right, of the same wavelength, when they meet, man, it's an exponential, energizing experience.
Yep.
And so, do you really want to be around everybody? And as an introvert, I don't. Anyways,
you know, you make a strong point. One of my favorite hikes is Echo Trail here in Camelback Mountain. I love that. I mean, it's a difficult hike relative to the other ones here in town, and so at the bottom of the mountain, you have a bunch of people. There's always a bunch of people, right? And then as you start getting higher and higher and higher, because you have to climb, and then you have to like put in the effort halfway through it, you have some rocks and like it gets, you know, sketchy, right? But you start to see less people on
Yeah.
the trail as you get to the top. Then you get to the top, and then yeah, you have a few. But it's interesting, man. Like you said, you have your you can identify that group as like, oh, they're gonna go all the way up, and then you can identify the people who are not gonna go all the
you're
way
not
up.
going all the way
Yeah,
up.
and that's and it's the same thing,
Not to
right?
be all judgy, but
Yeah.
you know,
Well, no, it is, but it is what it is.
It- yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's and it's the same thing in entrepreneurship. It's the same thing. Like you can identify the people who are committed, who are all in, who are there to like, I'm gonna change the you know, there's this thing that I want to improve about my life, about my my setting per se, right? And then they commit to it, and then you know, and really just do whatever it takes, right?
you know who the committed few are, and it's not because
Yeah.
of what they say,
Right.
it's because of their actions.
Right. And they're afraid. They're also afraid.
Yeah.
Just like,
Yeah.
you know, you and I on stuff that we do. The thing is not letting that, you know, hold us back, right? At the end of the day, our fear biases are gonna we can work with them, understand them, almost laugh at them when we figure out where they're coming from.
Yeah.
And most of the time, again, like it's gonna land that most of these are irrational fears that we are going through. Which is
Yes,
it's just insane. I keep going. I've said the same thing 2 or 3 times through the podcast, but it's so true, man. It's
Mhm.
like, man, what if I, you know, when I hire somebody, I can't pay them. Like, trust me, you're gonna find a way to pay that person.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is this: it's like you got to understand there's a very distinct difference between fear and danger. Right. You know what I mean? Like if you're going to put yourself into physical harm, that's danger, and you might want to pay attention.
Yeah.
Fear, though, again, it's that false evidence appearing real. It's just a story.
Yeah.
And so there's all kinds of what ifs. And if you're choosing to focus on what if, you know, the fear that could go wrong, why not focus on what could go right? Like,
Yeah.
like you said earlier, risk, right? Like entrepreneurs, like, well, that's a big risk, man. It's like, yeah, but it's also a great opportunity. You know, it's all about perspective.
Yeah.
And so those biased lens in which you view and filter in information, like maybe that needs to be updated, because man, if you're focusing on what could go wrong, that means you're not present in this moment. You're not objective to really tap into what could go right and why
Yeah.
you even had the idea in the first place. Where's that enthusiasm, that empowerment of like, you're capable, and I'm going to use this as an opportunity to show myself that regardless of the outcome. The fact that I can get into action, the fact that I can have a vision for my future, and I'm going to give it everything I got no matter what. Because the success doesn't define me.
Yeah.
The man that's in motion is who I am. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'm not attaching my worth to my result. That'd be weird. I can attach it to my behaviors, how I think, how I feel, how I behave. That's the only thing I can control. So why would I place my self-worth in something external like my results? Now, they're a reflection back about how I'm being, right?
Yeah.
But that's all it is. And a lot
Yeah,
of
but even then we take it as constructive criticism on the stuff that we're doing, right?
yeah,
when, you know,
you're learning.
when we're building anything, it's like, okay, shit, didn't work out this way. I'm gonna pivot and then, I don't know, go about it this other way.
Yeah. Listen, nothing amazing and fantastic and
Yeah.
super successful was ever created with the rough draft.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's revision after revision.
You got to leave room in your head for the possibilities. I
Yeah.
think that's the magic of breaking through that barrier of fears, right?
If you can look at that process as something to get excited about
Yeah.
because it's stimulating, it's forward moving, it's fun, you get to collaborate.
Yeah.
Like, man, that's what life's all about. I think the variety of all of it, right? If you knew that, okay, I'm going to go for this and I could never fail because I'm always going to be guaranteed success, that'd be pretty fucking boring. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, I was using loose terms there, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's the thrill of solving problems, of
Yeah.
being resourceful. Okay, who do I got to get to help me out? Not how am I going to do it?
Right.
You know, all those kinds of dynamics. Like, I don't know about you, but that pulls me out of bed in the morning. Like,
Well,
that's exciting.
Well, that, and it also feels good, right? When you break through something that's like, man, this thing was holding me back, and now it like feels really good.
Busted it up,
Yeah.
got through it.
Yeah.
It was just an illusion in my mind.
Yeah. So first, be aware of the stuff that might be a fear bias, right? Something that's not even yours. You borrowed it along the way, and then you stuck with this idea that something can hold you back. You're gonna fail, whatever that is, right? Whatever is keeping you from moving forward to that next point in your life that you
Yeah.
want to reach.
Well, I want
Be
to
aware
pop
of
this in
that.
there right quick too. The thing that people must understand is that those fear stories, they hold you back.
Yeah.
Look at how successful you are with what you believe.
Yeah.
I believe that I'm not going to be successful. I'm going to fail because whatever the story is, right?
Yeah.
And I'm 100% successful at running certain behavior in alignment with that belief.
Yeah.
So people say, no, I'm not successful. No, you are at running the behavior in alignment with the belief. That's what you're 100% successful at. You have to be. It's how the brain works. It's designed for survival. Now, what if you were to unlearn that and relearn something new? You know,
Right.
a new thought, new neurons fire in new ways. And if you keep thinking that thought and you keep connecting to it emotionally, because how you think sets up how you feel, and how you feel sets up how you think. Yeah.
Yep.
And you keep refiring, you keep rewiring the new thought. Pretty soon, it's going to start running without your conscious awareness and involvement. It's
Yeah.
a habit, and you must be successful at it. So you have to be successful at whatever you believe, and because it's going to naturally drive behavior over time with practice and redundancy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, people don't want to take ownership of what they believe in that's driving behaviors that holds them hostage because they don't like the result it produces. But I'm not saying do you like it or do you not like it. I'm saying are you responsible for that? Meaning that's my belief, and I have the ability to respond and learn something new.
Right. It's the beauty about rethinking and rewiring, right? The way that you approach something, your perspective on something. So be open to that kind of stuff. And you hit it right on the head, right? Imagine like if you've gotten this far in life with those biases that you're trying to break away from, imagine what you can do if you actually break away from that shit and move forward.
And it's a choice, man. Like
You're
not
it's a choice.
destined for the rest of your life to have that unless you decide to.
Yeah. Think from a blank slate. I guess it's one of the best pieces of advice I can give. Think from a blank slate and decide whether that is a real fear. It's something irrational. It's something that you borrowed along the way, or it's something that's that's within you, and you need to really work on it, right?
Yeah. Speaking of blank slate, I want to plug this in here right quick. So blank slate, like if you're listening to the fear story, you're not here in this moment. Like whatever the story is, you are there then, whether it's the future, what's going to go wrong, or the past, or why I
Right.
shouldn't get started. And so having a practice to calm the mind so you can be fully present, you'd be amazed at what resources are
Yeah.
already available to you that you're just not able to see because you're not here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
The bro, one of my favorite I guess phrases or coined phrases is "but did you die?" Right?
yeah.
Like, let's go back to that. Like as ugly as something may feel, as at the end of the day, I think about it. Well, I'm still here. I haven't died. But did you die? If I didn't die, I'm still breathing. If I'm breathing, I still got a shot at it.
I can do it again.
And like it just brings everything, back to this base, man. It's a solid foundation.
Yeah. Well,
and if you're if you're not dead, you got a shot.
Yeah.
Whatever you're afraid of.
But did you die? No. Okay. However,
don't die. Like that's another piece of the.
What? No, you're gonna die. Like that's the thing is like people.
Yeah,
like,
not intentionally through the.
Yeah. But not through that action, right?
Yeah,
Unless it's danger. But that's the thing is like people don't understand. Like they're tiptoeing through life safely to make it safely to death. It's like no, wrong. You're gonna die. It's inevitable.
I like how you butchered my favorite quote, by the way.
Yeah. You're welcome. But my point is this: like when you can accept the inevitable that we're all born, we're all gonna die. That's just happening. And you can accept that. Now, what do you want to do with the time you got left? Because you don't know how much that is. And so, like, why don't you go live all out? Because what do you got to lose?
Yeah.
You're gonna die. Do you know what I'm like? Yeah. Go have some fun. Go play. Go make some mistakes. Like, kids aren't afraid to make mistakes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we're just older children, man. So
yeah, pretty much. So great talk, dude. I think it's a very important topic. It's a very important awareness to have, right? If you keep telling yourself the story that you haven't moved forward because of X, because of Y, because of Z, you're probably just creating a whole bunch of bullshit and around you that they can borrow from whenever you need it. Like that's a reality. That's a conversation I had with myself. So own it, right? Get in it. Own it. Sit with whatever it is that's holding you back. Again, whatever's causing you procrastination, whatever's is having that fear bubble up to the surface and stop you on your tracks from anything that you want to do moving forward, and analyze it, break it down. I mean, really get with it and come to a realization whether or not that's even yours. Is it something that you borrowed, right? If it is, it's a lot easier to let go of it.
Yeah.
If it's yours, you may have to work on it a little more or whatever, but there's still a way around it. And at the end of the day, give it a shot.
Yeah. Start with like low hanging fruit. What's something you've been avoiding doing because you're afraid, and just go get it handled, man.
Yeah.
Because regardless of what happens, you're never going to be upset at yourself for taking action. You're like, I'm so glad at least I did it.
Yeah.
Like give yourself someone to be proud of.
Yeah. Like I want when I get to my deathbed and I'm sitting there and I'm like just ready to die. I want to think back and know that I left it all on the mat, dude.
100%.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's nothing that could have done bigger, better, different.
I want to get to the end full of experiences, full of laughter, full of joy.
That is a life well lived.
Yeah. And of course there's going to be highs, there's going to be lows, there's going to be all kinds of stuff in there, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like I just want to know that I squeezed the life out of that entire thing. And the fear wasn't the one thing that kept me back. So.
Because not doing that and having the fortune of being on your deathbed, like saying goodbye to everybody, like to know, like, man, what if I would have did that thing? What if I would have asked for that? What if? Oh, that's toxic poison. Now you're gonna die with it.
Yeah.
Nope. Unacceptable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So awesome, bro. I love our conversations. So if somebody wants to get a hold of you, where's the best place to reach you at?
Yeah, JustinThorstad.com. My cell phone, 602-348-8534. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube at Mindset Coach JT. Everywhere.
Bam! JustinThorstad.com. Bing! I don't know. I felt like I needed something else.
Yeah, man, go for it.
Yeah. All right. So, fam, I hope you like that combo. Do us a favor. If you feel like you enjoyed it, drop a message, let us know, give us some feedback. It's a two-way street. Let's have a conversation. Tell us if you want to, I don't know, bubble up different topics and whatnot. A lot of stuff that we talk about here is because it's our stuff. It's stuff that's going on in our brains, or we have the audience actually send us messages and we pull from that and break that stuff apart. So two-way street. It's a two-way conversation. Keep it going. Share the podcast, subscribe, like, and follow me at Rafael Cortez CEO on all platforms and YouTube as well. So with that being said, stay focused. You got this. Let's go.
Gio's still messing around.
Yeah.